This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Unfortunately, something in real life did happen that was awful. There's no other way to say it. The skits we just aired on the weekend of the 11th and the 12th. 13th was a Monday, and on a Tuesday, the 14th of October, Magnum TA would be hospitalized after the car he was driving crashed into a telephone pole. Magnum would sustain a broken neck. He's paralyzed from the chest down, and he's initially put on life support. He was returning to his home in Matthews, North Carolina from a bar in Charlotte, but he had not been drinking, and he was driving 55 in a 45, and the roads were wet due to rain. And his life and Jim Crockett Promotions perhaps changed forever. You know, we've talked about this injury and this moment for years and years and years, and we've heard from all the players, but it's really hard for myself included to probably grasp what a big star Magnum was and how he was really on the cusp. Because as we know from talking to Mr. Crockett, the original plan for Starrcade 86 was Magnum versus Flair. And we know that's not going to happen, can't happen, but Rick would go visit Magnum in the hospital, and he actually left the world title on the Iron Lung. I was supposed to drop this to you, and it never happened. And a lot of people thought, you know, as much success as Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon is having over here with the WWE or whatever, this could be our white meat babyface superhero, Magnum TA. And it didn't happen. How did you find out about the accident? Who told you? Where were you? What do you remember about first hearing something's not good?
I'm pretty sure Rick called me in the morning and said, "You're not going to believe this." And Magnum had a car wreck last night. He's in bad shape. They're not sure if he's going to make it. Now, this was a time when guys like me who had never had really nothing to speak of in life had all came together in Jim Crockett Promotions from all over the country, I guess all over the world for that matter. And we're part of a crew that had came in, you know, early 85. Now we're in late 86 and had jailed, and business had popped in that territory, and that company was on fire. People were having things, you know, buying homes and buying cars and buying furniture, and just pretty much had a more quality of life than they had ever had, me included. And at the top of that list of potential of guys that were on their way to the moon was Magnum. He had everything. He had the looks, he had the fire, he had the work rate, he was strong in the weight room, he had a great work ethic. He was learning really on an upscale level how to work, how to tell stories. And he was a guy that you just looked to and you went, that guy's going to be a megastar. He's going to be top of the heap. And when that happened to him, it was like it happened to all of us. You know, he was the guy that we collectively as a company were going to all pool our talents and get him as over as you could possibly get a guy over. And that was the game plan, even though it wasn't discussed. We all knew what was up and everybody was on board. And I can't remember how many of us was, but if it was JJ and Tully and myself, Rick, but we went down to the hospital and Doug Dillinger made arrangements for us to go. I mean, it's not like we could just walk in the front door of the hospital. We were still trying to protect the business, and they brought us in through a back door through the basement or something and took us up I want to say a freight elevator to his room. And they actually let us go in and see him for just a couple of minutes. And him hooked up to all those machines, man, it was like just when I walked in, it's like somebody hit me in the solar plexus. You know, there's a guy that you've been in the ring and you thought was indestructible, and all of a sudden just a freak freak accident. And they're telling us, hey, you know, you may be telling them goodbye, so choose your words carefully. And it was like a family member was laying there dying, and there's nothing you could do about it. He's just, man, he was hooked up to so many machines and breathing machines and God, you name it. And I just remember leaving there and just going, oh God, what are we going to do now? And it wasn't as much that it was a guy that was going to draw a lot of money, a member of the crew. It was like a family member was sent up there. We couldn't do anything for him. We couldn't do anything about it. There was nothing we could do except just tell him we loved him and how proud of him we were, and that, God damn it, you better not quit fighting. And that's not a request. That's all I remember saying to him. And he kind of looked over at me, and, you know, it was like, okay, there was that big mouth barking again, but man, I meant it. We left there. There was no way I was going to allow him to quit fighting, because at this point, he was the only one, along with those wonderful doctors and nurses, that could save his life. There's nothing we could do except just pray for him. And that's what we did. And, you know, the evolution of that injury, I mean, he's one of the toughest guys on earth, because he's still with us. But that morning, just everybody that worked for that company, and I'm pretty sure everybody that knew Magnum and guys that worked in other companies, it's like time stood still that day, and the world changed for all of us.
I feel strongly that saving money is important. You know, if it's not something we worry about now, boy, we are really going to worry about it later. And I want to help you get out of debt faster and do it with cheaper monthly payments. I'm talking to you if you're in a 30-year loan. Now is the time to take years off of your loan. We're routinely helping our listeners cut 5, 10, even 15 years off their loan. And you can do this without perfect credit, with no money out of pocket. You've just got to start at savewithconrad.com. Let's also put into context. I mean, and this is such a weird story that I don't think anybody ever really talks about. That accident happens the evening of October 14th. I believe, afternoon of October 14th is when you filmed the attack on Dusty in the Crockett office, the parking lot. I mean, what are the odds of that? You know, one of the most memorable angles in the history of Jim Crockett Promotions, certainly one of the most memorable of 1986 in all of wrestling, and the accident both happened on the same day. That's kind of unbelievable.
We filmed in the morning, right? And that happened in the evening?
Yes. The accident happened in the evening. And, you know, I only said that the attack was probably filmed in the afternoon, because I know the rest of our schedule was probably didn't happen at 8 a.m. So tell me the story behind the story of how you guys put together the attack on Dusty in the parking lot.
Well, it was all planned. It was all set to go. We had everything worked out. I guess they had taken a dry run from, you know, with the camera and JJ's Cadillac down, and looked it over and looked at how it would feel and where they would turn in and where they would park. Everything was mapped out. It was ready to go. And we knew this was going to be one of those things that was, I don't remember ever seeing anything that felt that real to me, as far as being in the car. And we got the camera guy in there. JJ tells him, hey, you keep shooting. You just keep that camera on what we tell you to. It was something like that just, it suddenly became real, because now you had a reason for the cameraman to be there. You know, a lot of times that suspension of disbelief would pop up, and they go, well, what the hell's the camera doing in there? Well, we explained it. We hired you. We know what we're fixing to do, and we want the world to see it. So you just point the camera where we tell you to. It had so much, you know, reality base to it, and it was so raw. Just, you know, out there in the gravel at Jim Crockett Promotions at the office, you know, it all went down in the back in the gravel, and it just had a rough feel to it. It wasn't cinematic by any stretch of the imagination, but it was, man, we knew we hit a grand slam. But God, we didn't have much time to enjoy it.
No, man, it's so crazy to think it happened right then. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.